I'm a European who's curious about New Zealand, and so today we're going to look at the top 10 places to visit in New Zealand so that we can look at some beautiful scenery. And yeah, let's just find out what are the top 10 places to visit according to Ryan Shirley. Shout out to Ryan Shirley.
What's up guys? My name is Ryan and I recently returned from exploring the incredible country of New Zealand, and I want to share with you my favorite places. So here's my New Zealand top 10. Located in the southern hemisphere, New Zealand is made up of two main islands.
I feel like if every time I want to say something about how beautiful it is, this video is going to be so long because I'm going to have to pause it so many times and say the same thing over again. But already this is insane.
And it's easily one of the most beautiful countries on earth. From the daunting mountains of the Southern Alps to the wonders of the Milford Sound, New Zealand is waiting to be experienced.
What? It gets that windy?
Start this video off at Cathedral Cove. When I imagine New Zealand, this is one of the first places that come to mind. It's located on the Coromandel Peninsula and it's about a 2.5 hours drive from Auckland. To get to Cathedral Cove, you can either hike or take a walk.
It's just so crazy to imagine that you can be in this full-on nice city that I looked at. I think this video is coming out this week as well, if it's not out already. Sly in New Zealand, and he was in Auckland. So I got a chance to see the city through his eyes. And yeah, just to have a city in 2 hours, or yeah, something like that. I think that's what he said, 2 hours and something. So 2 hours later, you're just here. Like, that's mind-blowing. We don't have this in the Netherlands. Like, we have beaches, but not like this.
Water taxi. The hiking path was closed when we were there, so we took the water taxi, which is located on Hobbiton Beach. The water taxi was this carboat hybrid that could drive up onto the beach, and it cost about $50 USD for the round trip tickets. I mean, the boat ride into the cove was beautiful. There were these white rock cliffs that were so unique. We boated around the Te Hoho rock, which is the crowning feature of the area and possibly the most iconic rock in New Zealand. The water taxi then drops you off on the beach and you can explore it for about an hour before the return. The area is amazing. There's an archway that gives you the famous view of the Te Hoho rock. We had a great time just enjoying the beach and area, and I understand why it's one of the most famous places in New Zealand. Another nearby spot is the Hot Water Beach. It's located just 9 minutes from Cathedral Cove, and it's this beautiful area, and what's special about it is that there's this small spot on the beach where thermal hot water rises from the sand, and you can take little pools to relax in during low tide. We went here and
That's so unique.
I think it was a public holiday, so there was a lot of people, but I was amazed by how hot the water and sand was at some places. Regardless, it was a unique beach and definitely would...
What? Yeah, how does that come about? Like, why is it hot there? 'Cause I am no biologist or anything of the sort, so I have no
be
idea.
a cool place to come for sunrise or sunset. After, we're going to head to Middle Earth to visit Hobbiton. Located about 15 minutes from Hamilton, Hobbiton is the famous filming location for the Shire, which is featured in the Lord of the Rings and Hobbit films. You can experience the area by taking a guided tour that costs about $75 a person. You start by taking a bus in and then proceed to walk through the incredible movie set. It was really interesting to hear from the tour guide all the facts and behind the scenes of what took place here in order to make the film possible. The attention to detail was immaculate, and it really felt like you were walking in a fantasy realm. It was also interesting to learn the story why...
Yeah, this just looks like, if I imagine like a fairyland, this comes really close to what pictures or what is in my mind when I think of fairies. This is so cute.
Was chosen to be the place of the Shire. Basically, Peter Jackson was looking for a farm that had rolling green hills, a massive tree, and a lake, and this place checked all the boxes. One of my favorite parts of the tour was going into one of the Hobbit homes. We got to explore it for a good amount of time, and
I didn't think about that you could actually go into them. That's so cool.
It looked quite comfortable to live in. After, we walked over the bridge and explored a little bit more of Hobbiton. If you are a Lord of the Rings fan, you gotta come and experience the Shire. After, we're going to head back to the coast to visit Three Sisters. Located about 2.5 hours drive from Hamilton, Three Sisters is this incredible beach area. Now to reach it, we parked and walked on the muddy and slippery banks of this river. When we got to the beach, I was amazed at the color of the black sand, and then there's these beautiful sea stacks in the distance. There's also this unique rock formation called Elephant Rock that looks like it's having a trunk go into the sand. And we had a good time exploring here, and it would be a great place to watch the sunset. After, we're going to head to Egmont National Park. Located near the town of New Plymouth, the main feature of the national park is Mount Taranaki. If you look at the park in Mount Taranaki from space, there's an almost perfect circle of trees.
Yeah. What? How's that possible?
That shows the park's boundaries. I really wanted to go to the Pohukai Circuit Reflective Tarn. We started on the Mangori Track trailhead, and it was a steady incline through a forest, and we reached the Pohukai Mountain Hut. We continued on these raised boardwalks that went through some beautiful vegetation with a constant view of
How are there so many different beautiful views in
Mount
New Zealand?
Taranaki. After 2 hours of hiking, we made it to the Tarn, which is basically this little pond. It was smaller than I imagined, but it offered a beautiful view of Mount Taranaki. If there was no clouds or wind, it would be a perfect reflection of the volcano. We enjoyed resting there for a bit and taking in the view. It was definitely a challenging trek and took us 4 hours to do, but I'm glad we did it. After, we're going to head to the South Island. We left from Wellington and took the ferry that crosses the Cook Strait. It was about a 3-hour journey and a nice boat ride. We arrived at the town of Picton, which is located in the Milford Sounds, which is an incredible area.
Just look how blue or like turquoise, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but yeah, how turquoise that water is.
On the northern point of the southern island with picturesque bays and scenery. Afterwards, we're going to head to Wharariki Beach. Located about 4.5 hours drive from Picton, this was easily my favorite beach we visited in New Zealand. To reach it, it was a beautiful 15-minute walk, and when we got to the beach, I was blown away by the beauty of this place. The windswept sand was so picturesque and felt otherworldly. Now, the crowning feature of the area is the Archway Islands. They are the set of 2 islands that have a bunch of arches in them. I mean, they were so unique and epic. We had a great
So cool.
time waiting around for sunset and watching the islands light up with an orange glow. While it is out of the way, this place was well worth the journey to get there. After, we're going to head south to visit Lake Tekapo. Located about a 3-hour drive from Christchurch, Lake Tekapo is this incredible blue lake. If you come here between the months of November to January, you might be able to see the scenic lupine flowers around the lake. The area around Lake Tekapo is also one of the best places in the world to see the night sky.
That's real?
Months of November to January, you might be able to see the scenic lupine flowers around the lake. The area around Lake Tekapo
No, this is insane. Just imagine just sleeping under the stars here.
is also one of the best places in the world to see the night sky. After, we're going to head to Mount Cook. Located about an hour's drive from Lake Tekapo, Mount Cook is the tallest mountain in New Zealand with a height of 3,724 meters. When you're heading towards Mount Cook, you'll drive on the shores of Lake Pukaki. I think this is one of the most beautifully colored lakes I've ever seen.
This might be the thumbnail. Like, what? This is crazy. I did not know. Yeah. How beautiful the world gets.
The water was just so perfectly blue thanks to the glacier runoff. Now, the drive to Mount Cook is arguably one of the most scenic in the world, and you'll have views of the incredible Southern Alps coupled with the glacier blue waters of Lake Pukaki. Now, once you arrive at Mount Cook National Park, there's a lot of hikes you can go on. One of the most famous is Hooker Valley Track. It's about a 10-kilometer round-trip trek, and it takes about 3 hours to do. The trail is relatively easy with a steady incline. One of my favorite features of the hike is the swing bridges.
Ooh, I don't know if I could do that. Because I'm afraid of heights. I don't know how high this is. But
that
yeah,
cross the glacial rivers. They offer amazing views, especially
it doesn't look that high. I
the
think.
first one that has a great lookout into Mueller Lake. After, you continue on the trail and walk on some overland tracks. When we reached Hooker Lake, I was amazed at the view with the glacier ice chunks in front of the massive backdrop of Mount Cook. It was possibly the windiest place I've ever been. The wind was blowing so hard and it was whispering up the lake water, creating for one of the most epic situations.
I didn't know that this exists. And there seems to be such variety in.
The power of the wind was just
New
absolutely
Zealand.
insane, and I felt like we were gonna be blown away or something. Another incredible place in the park is the Tasman Lake. It's a short 10-minute hike from the parking lot and has some amazing views of the Tasman Glacier. After, we're going to head to Wanaka to hike Roy's Peak. Located just a few minutes outside the town of Wanaka, this is one of the most popular hikes in the area. The full trail is about 16 kilometers and is a constant incline with an elevation gain of 1,300 meters. It was the hardest hike we did in New Zealand. There was a parking lot at the beginning of the trail and the ascent starts. There is some beautiful views of Wanaka and the lake on the way up, but the trail is pretty exposed without much shade. It is a popular hike to start around 3 or 4 a.m. to catch the sunrise, but we didn't wake up that early. After about 2.5 hours of a grueling uphill climb, we made it to the lookout. There still was more to hike to reach the official Roy's Peak, but we were pretty gassed and I decided this is as high as we were going to go. There was a nice little trail that offered an incredible lookout and view of the area. If you're in Wanaka and want a challenging day hike, Roy's Peak is a great option. While you're in the area, you can also visit the world famous tree found on the shores of Lake Wanaka. After, we're going to head back to the coast to visit Nugget Point Lighthouse. Located about a 3.5 hours drive from Wanaka, Nugget Point is this incredibly scenic lighthouse that was opened in 1870. To get to the lighthouse, it's a short walk from the parking lot and the area is full of incredible sea cliffs. The lighthouse overlooks a bunch of jagged rocks that jet out of the sea. They definitely would have been dangerous to unknowing sailors. Another nearby beautiful place is Purakanui Bay. There's an amazing beach coupled with impressive sea cliffs, and it's also an ideal place for camping. For our final location, we're going to visit
all of this is just insanely beautiful.
the Milford Sound. Located in the Fjordland National Park, the Milford
I
Sound
don't know. You don't need many words to describe this.
is possibly the most famous place in all of New Zealand, and after exploring it, I understand why. The Milford Sound is pretty isolated, and the closest town is Te Anau, which is about 2 hours drive to get there.
Or better yet, I think what I'm meant to say is like, I don't know how to, like, you can't capture this. You know, like, you just have to see this. And I hope I get to see it for myself one day.
One of the most beautiful I've ever been on. The scenery reminds me of the fjords of Norway, but slightly more tropical. We saw some kia birds, which are the only alpine parrots in the world, and they were seriously so beautiful. Once we arrived at the Milford Sound, we got on a boat that took us on a tour of the famous fjord. It was about $90 a person, and it took about 2 hours. The views on the front of the boat were amazing as we headed into the fjord. I mean, the scale of this place is insane. The mountain walls rise straight up thousands of feet high. We came across several waterfalls cascading into the sound. The most famous one is probably Sterling Falls. Our boat took us up right to it.
Wow. Like every time I think, oh, this would be a nice thumbnail, something else comes up.
And then the views of the falls was really nice as we headed back to the ferry dock. Now after the boat tour, I really enjoyed just walking around the sound. There were some nice trails, and I liked this little coastal area that had smooth rocks and really unique vegetation that lined the shore. And it was just so calming to watch the little waves roll in. It was very sunny the day we were there, but the Milford Sound is famous for being one of the rainiest inhabitable places on Earth. I mean, I'd love to experience a place when it's raining. The Milford Sound truly is on another level of beauty, and if you come to New Zealand, you gotta experience this place. Well, that is it for my New Zealand top 10. There's truly so much to see in this country, and I'll have to come back for part 2. Let me know where your favorite place is in the comments below. It's Ryan, and we will see you later.
Yeah. I'm also curious, if you're from New Zealand, what is your favorite place? Maybe it's on this list. Maybe it isn't, but I'm really curious. Let me know in the comments. But yeah, this was insanely beautiful to watch. So many different views. Like you have ice, then you have the waterfalls, you have those turquoise waters and the rocks, and yeah, what can you even say? It's just beautiful. And crazy to imagine that you actually, like, we as humans get to see this. We just get to experience this nature. Like, the nature really was like, okay, you're allowed to witness this. I don't know. It's just so magical to me. But yeah, again, let me know in the comments what your favorite place is in New Zealand. And if you haven't been to New Zealand or you're not from New Zealand, let me know what, on this list was your favorite thing to see.